The murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Mohamed Noor is now in the hands of a jury. Closing arguments wrapped up today, and the first day of deliberations is now behind them. Lou Raguse has been following the trial since day one, and he continues our coverage tonight.
The jury is spending the night in a hotel as they are sequestered until they make their decision. They began deliberating at about 2:30 after closing arguments finished. Prosecutor Amy Sweezy in her closing argument called attention to differences in testimony between Mohamed Noor and his partner Matthew Harity. "You have two totally different stories," she said. "They can't both be true." She said those differences included what they saw at the window, whether Harity had trouble pulling out his gun, and whether Noor reached over his partner and shielded him from the shot. "Members of the jury, it's not true. That's not what happened," she said. Sweezy told them you should put great stock in that Harity testified that he didn't believe death or great bodily harm were apparent, which is the standard for use of force. Harity just said it was possible. Defense attorney Tom Plunkett began his closing argument by slamming the table like he believes Justine Ruszczyk-Damon did to the police car, then cursing like Harity said he did, then pretending to fire a shot like Noor did. "It's the perfect storm. That is the whole case. It occurred in what Mohamed Noor described as milliseconds," Plunkett said. He said the state's case was filled with red herrings and sideshows, such as whether the officers had their guns out already driving through the alley. Plunkett closed by telling the jury Mohamed Noor will have to live with the fact he took an innocent life. "That's a tragedy. That's not a crime. Do not compromise. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty." Deliberations resume in the morning, and they can go until 7 o'clock each night until they reach a verdict. Back to you.
And stay with KARE 11 as the jury deliberates. We will bring you new information as we learn it on air and on all our digital pages.